Hello traders, this is Rich from tradesight. This is a look at our market leading stocks for the coming session. This is going to be for Tuesday, July 8th, 2014. Well, definitely what we're experiencing today is just a bid vacuum. Not a lot of volume in the market, but certainly there's very little buying going on. The major indexes are all down, with the Russell taking the worst of it. The Russell is down about 3 times as much as the broad market. In the NASDAQ patch today, we've got a little bit of a downside indication for tomorrow, but not a decisive one, which leads me to believe we may have more of a measuring day tomorrow and then maybe a follow-through on Wednesday, so we'll have to see how this wants to play out, but definitely setting the table for some more downside potentially, especially if you took a look at the video I did on the exhaustion signal that's in place on the NQ side of the market. So we're definitely feeling the effects of that today. We've got an open-close deviation in Sina and Tesla. Both of those have downside CPSs. Shorted Tesla twice today, early this morning, added on this afternoon. First Solar is also having very weak day. That's on my list for next week as well, for the rest of the week as well. Got a downside RPS in Apple. Apple was seeing a little bit of a bid to it today. Also Microsoft. A couple of the the larger caps are seeing a little rotational bidding, but that's probably going to tail off here fairly quickly. Moving on to the financials, not a lot of signals here. Note the volumes is very light. Today's selling is definitely concentrated in the NASDAQ, especially the NASDAQ high flyers, and also the Russell stocks. Take a look at the energy names. The energy names are really weak. Look at Arch Coal, more than 6% below the day's open. That's a big move on volume. Chesapeake CHK, really weak. That one's on volume as well. Got a downside CPS in BP, and also Rig's on my list on the short side, as is Schlumberger. Schlumberger is actually showing upside CPS today, but that one's on very light volume. Valero notably weak today as well. Moving on to the market generals. No real bias here. Fairly light on volume. Expect volume to pick up a little bit as the week goes on. We do have a pretty good data point on Wednesday, which is going to be the release of the FOMC minutes. So I think that's going to be the focal point this week. It's also going to be the start of earnings. Moving on to the housing names. Hovnanian starting to reverse course. That one's pretty weak. DHI is weak, as is Toll Brothers, but we have a couple contra candles popping up here. We've got one in Lowe's and one also in NVR. American Airlines is really weak today. We played that on the short side in the messenger. Shorted American this morning under 41.40, and we also shorted Delta. Delta's really weak as well. Delta's down 4.5% today. Finally, moving on to the commodities. Arch Coal, ACH, big volume but not a lot of movement. Not a flight to quality yet for sure. Gold is still lower on the day, trying to close the gap, but we'll see if they can bring that back and walk it back up. I expect that the precious metals would probably come into play a little bit later on in the week. Right now, the asset class that's seeing the rotation into it right now are the government bonds. So could see a little bit of exhaustion there on a temporary basis, and then perhaps see one of the other alternative asset classes away from stocks start to perform, and that could be gold. So we'll keep an eye on that, but let's be patient there. All right, folks, as always, thanks for listening. This has been Rich for tradesight.